Okay guys, welcome back to another video. This is going to be about how university can make or break you, and it all depends on how you were before university. So I think there are two types of people that are most profoundly influenced by university. One for the better, one for the worst. So there's a kind of other group of people who aren't really affected by it so much, and of course, like everyone kind of falls in somewhere around these different groups. But just for the sake of argument, this are the two groups. Number one is people who have had quite a not necessarily a sheltered life, but there's a lot that they're gonna get. A lot of the fun of life that they haven't experienced in the university will have to offer for them. So examples for this kind of stuff includes like just partying. You know, I know a lot of people who, this might sound surprising to some people, but haven't really properly had like those mad nights that you get at university. And that is, you know, we talk a lot about how that stuff's bad, but you do need it at the same time because you need to be able to have fun in life and socialise, and so they get a lot of this in university. They get access to girls for the first time in their life. I mean, obviously people have access to to girls all throughout their life, but you know, if you go to boys' school in prior to university, you know, maybe you're not very connected. You know, maybe you don't have access to it in the same way. University gives you that. I mean, those are the two things really that the university gives you that you didn't have before. And at this point, university is fantastic because you can just kind of burn brightly on these kind of big important things that, you know, are, you know, maybe to extent some of it's kind of bad, degenerate, you know, you shouldn't be going out drinking and stuff like that. But I think if done with the right approach, it's for this kind of person, it's an incredibly good thing to have as an experience in university, because it sort of, I mean, the example I'm going to use it for the other person as well, is you get sort of, it's like, let's say you get a photo and then you just touch up the colours a little bit. You know, like you go onto Photoshop and you just make the green slightly brighter and the black slightly darker, or something like that. And it just makes the photo look way better. I mean, you know, I get that people like a more naturalistic look, but you know, just a little. It doesn't take much to just make the picture look much better. And I think that's a bit like here. You know, it's just they're you know, these people are like, it's like a nice guy, you know, but he just needs a bit of colour. He needs a bit of partying, getting drunk, smoking, like talking to girls, you know, that kind of stuff, just to turn up the brightness on him a little bit. And you don't need too much. You don't need too much, but I think a little bit does wonders. Okay, so that's the first type of person. And then you get a second type of person. And this type of person is a person who's already got on to the party culture in university, before university, and he fucking loves it. And he's ready for even more at university, and that's what he gets. The problem is, for him, he's already done that stuff. And while you can do it to a higher degree, after a point, you're not really getting much more out of it. You're just getting more of the same, but you kind of got all the good things from it, but you're still being damaged by it along the way. So, and often these guys, they'll burn very brightly in the first few months. Like, I remember talking to some friends from, like, who, like, talk about their first weeks. I remember talking to them when they had their first few weeks at university, and the way they described it to me at the time just sounded so much fun, you know, just like partying, like they're sort of involved in the drug scene, you know, getting drunk, they're chatting to girls, all this. It sounds really fun, and it is for a short time, but it doesn't last. It doesn't last because I would say somewhere along the way, it sort of starts to take its toll, guys. It starts to take its toll. You have too much colour and sort of partying and staying up, and it starts taking its toll. It's not doing any good for you anymore, but it's still doing all the bad for you. So these are the people. So like, and by a similar rationale, if you take a picture, and add too much Photoshop to it, you know, you make it look the colours look too black and too bright. You know, you make the whites too bright. You bring out too much contrast. You know, it still looks good, but it looks cool as a photo, but it doesn't have that kind of balance that you need in a good picture. It just looks a bit silly. And you can see this physically in people as well, you know. They'll, you know, like people will start, you know, you want to dress in a way that's kind of cool, of course. You know, maybe you get an earring, maybe you start wearing sort of more like, you know, sort of edgy clothes. But then there comes a point where it's like, fuck, you know, I'm a sort of living a rebellious university life. I need to keep going, right? And then it comes to a point very quickly where you got like 4 piercings, loads. I mean, I like tattoos, but like, you know, you know, you get people who just have way too many because they're just like, you know, they don't know where they're going anymore, and I can't see these people, and it's like, the vibe I get from them a bit is like, I don't know where I'm going anymore, you know. They can tell that this is all they know is just like more excess, more partying. But there's a sort of insecurity there because it's not giving them enough positives anymore, and they just can't stop. And if you saw them at like 19, 18, they would have been fantastic because they had that. It's about that kind of point. They had that perfect balance between having that fun sort of party lifestyle, but also it's not damaged them yet. And then you see them 3 months later, and it's completely different. It's too much. So I think to bring this together, the secret of university really is to find a way to mediate these two things. You want to have a little bit. What you kind of want to do is have a self-assessment of like how much partying and drinking alcohol do you need, you know. And obviously it's quite a difficult thing for someone to do themselves because chances are you're going to need either less than you think or more than you think. But if you do get the right amount, university is fantastic. If you know when to tap out of party culture, you know when to bring it back a bit and feel life with other stuff, then university can be a really positive experience. It's just about getting it right. It's just about getting the levels right. And I think a lot of people in the second category, they really realise it's too late. I mean, I think I was very nearly in this category, to be honest. I was never like massively sort of, I wouldn't say I had loads of partying before. I probably did like a normal amount, but you know, and I wouldn't say I was the biggest sesh head in the world, but I definitely had that thing of being on that train and being like, hang on a minute, 2 years ago this was really fun and I was getting lots of life-changing experiences out of this party lifestyle. Why am I not getting enough of the same things? Maybe I just need more, you know, and just keep putting more and more and more in until you either get off yourself and realise what else you need to do in life. You know, I actually need to do something productive with my life. You know, during the day before I'm going out, I actually need to put some things in place for the future. Maybe my room needs tidying. how about I sort out, how about I try and put my life in order so I can get in a proper relationship and have a good partner to support me, and I can support them through my life. You know, you either do that, or you just never really get, you're kind of forced off. You're forced off the wagon of partying and getting drunk, because all of a sudden you can't pay for it, you can't fund it anymore, because you've not got a student loan, you've got to pay for it with your own money, and that's a really tough position to be in, because you just end up being bitter, and yeah, it's not good, guys. It's not good. So, I mean, it was always really interesting to me how people stopped going out at a certain age, and I always thought that was rather sad. But I slightly understand it now, because there is a pattern there where you need to take a bit of a step back after you get the sort of things that, the good things that you do get from partying, and a lot of the time you don't really need that much of it. You know, all you need is a bit of, you know, funny times, and you know, a bit of chatting to girls, all that kind of stuff. But at that point, that's when you get it. That's when you start introducing all that other stuff in your life, because otherwise you're just going downhill. And I think. So do not stop doing it necessarily, but you need to introduce the other stuff in your life. And this, going full circle, I think this is why the first group fare better, because they're on this bandwagon of having fun at university and drinking, and it might come a point where they suddenly think, fuck, I'm not getting the same stuff. You know, they might end up on that same train of being like, I'm not getting the same fun I used to get out of this. I can't go to sleep without smoking weed. You know, I'm drinking too much. You know, all this kind of stuff. But it's easier for them to get off because they've already done the sort of foundation work before they got to university of, oh, they've got some hobbies, you know, maybe, you know, okay, maybe they're a bit nerdy at school, but they know how to read, and, you know, they can sit down with a nice book and they can actually enjoy that, or they're actually quite good at their subjects, and they could get a good job out of that. So they have that kind of stuff to fall back on. Meanwhile, the second group, they have to build that from the ground up. So I'm not really saying any one position's better than another. I guess I've said the first one seems better. But there are downsides to the first one as well, you know. So yeah. Thanks for listening, guys. I hope it's been helpful.